Hey guys, Pete here, HVAC Greatness. So if you're still using the gross profit method, you're going to get yourself in trouble. It's past time to change. The net profit method is the way to go. And if you'll stick around with me, I'm going to explain some things and I'm going to go up to the edge as to what we can talk about on some of these platforms, because there's things going on right now that you need to be aware of. And well, let's just dive into it. So when you look at a gross margin type pricing, let's say you're talking about a $50 part and you got about an hour's worth of time in there, your break even is the most critical number. And you can only calculate your break even accurately if you're doing your quotas properly. But fundamentally, those who use a GP method, let's say there's a straight up 70% GP and they sell this at 714. This is going to be a problem going forward. And let me explain to you why. All right. A little bit of code, not too much. So there's these private, if you know what I'm talking about, equity groups out there. And what they're doing is they're buying up heating and air conditioning companies. But guess what? They've been buying up everything. And what they are doing is truly should be criminal. And why this stuff isn't being stopped is beyond me. But guys, we have some really tough times ahead of us. And these parasites who produce nothing, and they're throwing all this money around, and guys like the guy down the street that sold his company doesn't know any better. He sees an opportunity to retire. He's built this business. Now he's out. Let me see if I can explain kind of what's going on. Now, they've been doing this to emergency rooms. They've been buying up all these. Let me use Red Lobster as an example. That was a very healthy company. Okay. They went in and bought all of these rascals up. What they did is, first of all, when they go to the bank and take a loan, they don't take a loan like you and I. You have to sign on that line and you're going to pay that debt back and you're personally responsible. They don't. The business that they buy is responsible for paying that debt back, and there's very little limits on what they can buy. So they buy up these companies and they borrow more and more and more, and then they take the assets, and like Red Lobster is a good example because they own the property underneath the restaurant. Well, they sell that out, pad their own pockets. They'll take this and basically squeeze all the money out of it and leave it to go bankrupt later. And this is what's happening. The bankruptcies by these PE groups are doubling year after year. And they're squeezing all the money they can out of these things. Well, the banks aren't going to lose. You're losing. The local communities are losing. The retirement funds or the pension funds are losing, because what the banks do is they turn around and they take this debt and they sell it to your retirement, to your pensions. And so they own all this bad debt, and these loans are, what do you call it? It's not a fixed interest rate. They call that an adjustable rate. It's backed floating rate loans. And while this may sound a little bit boring, you really need to understand that they've hit emergency rooms, your pediatricians, your veterinary clinics, your nursing homes, childcare, nursing homes. All this stuff is being hit by PE and now HVAC. These companies are going to go under. They're going to go under. But before in doing that, it's not just a matter of the companies going under. All these jobs are going to go away, guys. And your economy is getting ready to get tight. It's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. This thing that they are doing, like I said, it should be criminal. These investors, they create these hedge funds and all this voodoo magic with the money. They're parasites. And what they're doing is they're siphoning all the money off of it. They take these loans. They know they're gonna fail. They don't care. They're only in it for a year or two and they're out, right? They make their money and they're gone. And so very few people make money and everybody else loses, including you. So these jobs are going to go away. And a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford your services. A whole lot of people in your market, especially if you're in a working class area. So the GP method, and by the way, we've seen big changes in how things are priced, and the GP methods were very important at one point. Like I said, I've seen the pendulum swing from we weren't charging enough, we started charging more and more and more and more, and then it just kept going. And I've got people I talk to today, people I care about very dearly, who are in this industry, and they just keep pushing it and pushing it. Guys, at some point, this is going to come back and bite us all. And if you don't know what your true costs are to do your business and then mark that up as a net profit, then all you're doing is guessing, and you're really charging way more than what your customers are going to be able to afford in the future. Now, I'm not saying that you drop your prices to the floor, but you need to drop your expenses to the floor. You need to be cutting costs. You need to understand how to price properly. Guys, I put this pricing program together. Net profit pricing, not gross. Not some labor rate plus a markup on your part. An attempt at dual overhead, which is a joke. The only way that you know how to price properly is to know what you're selling and quantify that. If your pricing is based on a lemonade stand selling 20 glasses of lemonade and you price it that way, but you only sell 10, you're going to lose money. You need to know what you're going to sell and divide your costs into units sold. We talked about this in great detail in this particular program. Now, yes, I sell this, but you need to take advantage of it. When we set your company up, this red is your changeout department. We know exactly what your man hour needs to be per hour on each installer. Same thing in the green on your service tech. We know what that overhead rate needs to be. Your maintenance tech, we know what that needs to be. And really, we can move these numbers around if you truly understand how to set these things up. I don't have these other windows open. It doesn't matter. So when you go in and do a change out and you put all your costs and everything else, if all you do is a 50% GP, well, there's your price, $11,160. And here's your gross profit. Wonderful, right? What if they quit buying? At what point, how low can you drop your price before you have to start turning work away? You know, if you just do a selling price, you're going to be guessing, here's a 3.5%. But if you actually come in, let's say we're not going to do a selling price. We're actually going to do a net profit. This is what you're supposed to do. And maybe times are tough. Maybe you can do a 15% net. I mean, this is how low you can go, right? With financing. Now, if you take financing off, no commission, this is how low you can go, right? And still get your 15% net. But this is your break even right here. You got to know this. You got to get away from gross profit because you're guessing. And then you really have to get these expenses down. And that comes all the way back over here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. As a small business, you need to be able to set up your overhead and calculate these things accurately. Get these expenses down. Your advertising probably needs to go up. Some of these other expenses need to go down. But once you set your capacity and you know what it's going to take, you know how to set a quota, right? I know exactly how many change outs I need. If I'm getting 4 replacements and I have to go on 3 estimates to get that, I need 12 estimates. Now I got to go project out to get those 12 estimates. Let's see here. An estimate, I need 2 replacements. 2 times 3 estimates is 6. Where are those 6 estimates going to come from? I didn't know what my costs are. These are things that we have really simplified, guys, for your benefit. Okay, it's all part of this. Do yourself a favor, walk away from gross profit. Go get away from those guys that are teaching you that you're going to be these multi-millionaires. It's coming home, guys. It's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. These private equity groups, they are running price up. I'm not saying that you drop your price. You probably need to have a healthy net profit, but at least you need to know what that is. Okay. And as the market starts to pull back, you're able to pull back with it. But you need to be setting up right now for this scenario. The other shift is away from replacements towards service and repair. If all you're doing is pushing, change out that equipment like they're teaching these techs to do. I mean, these guys are selling their souls, some of them, and they hate themselves for it. They're out there just being pushed to sell. Guys, all you need to do is up your service game, put a process together. I teach this called the consultative service call, where you go through and you don't just fix what's broke or try to sell them a new unit. You take your time with the customer, you go through the entire system, and you bring a true status report. Guys, in order to keep this equipment operational without breakdowns, we do proactive repairs. And when they do that, while you're there, it saves them a lot of money and it raises your average ticket substantially. You make more money, they save money, everybody wins. You're prolonging the life of the equipment, the life of the equipment, and you're not selling things that to your customers that they can't afford. Maybe, and this is part of your process, maybe they can't afford to repair it. Maybe it is time to replace that. But the point is, you have to have a process in place to identify this. This is all about integrity. Your community is going down. It's pulling back. It's going to hurt. And you either need to be on the side that's going to be helpful for that, or you're going to be on the side that goes down with the ship. A lot of these guys are going to go out of business. They're not going to have work. They're going to be competing with you, working for nothing. The homeowners many of them are going to be tempted to go with these weekend warriors. They already are. Aren't you seeing that? Aren't you seeing people getting tighter and tighter, and it's harder and harder to sell? It's a sign. It's a symptom. If you're going to run a business, a heating and air conditioning business with overhead, and be able to stand behind your work, right, and come back and give a true warranty when your customer needs it, then you need to get your numbers right, and you got to stop the gross profit. Don't worry about dual overhead. It's way too complicated. Just do a net profit method. This is really easy. We're using free software to do this. You need to invest in yourself and get this now. I said I was going to do it, then I said I wasn't. Now I'm back. I'm going to have to do this as a software as a service, because this leads into your retail sales. This leads into your ability to create a flat rate book that people can understand and they can go through and they can choose for themselves. You need to stop selling to your customers and start serving them, giving them options, empowering them to make decisions that are informed, so that they know what this means to them. All this technical stuff you're talking to them, yeah, you and I get that. It's kind of like doctors talking amongst themselves, right? But we don't understand what they're talking about. Your customers don't understand what you and I are talking about. They don't understand what it means to them. And that is the one concern that we all have all day long in every interaction is, what does this mean to me? Somebody gets in your face, they crowd your space. What does this mean to me? Am I going to have to hit this guy? Is he coming on to me? Right? What does this mean? Okay. Well, when you tell them that widget thingamajigger is out of calibration, okay, what does that mean to me? Okay. This requires better processes. Guys, we're going to go ahead and form the communities. We're going to do this. Just stick around. We're going to get this stuff done. In the meantime, if you don't own net profit pricing, then please click the link below, go make the investment, I'm doing it online so that you can follow along. Yes, you got to open up your wallet and pay for the darn thing. Guys, not everything's for free. You know, the reason you have to pay for certain stuff is the people who create it have to eat, right? You can't give your services away for free. You can lead like what I do, and you should. You should be on social media right now, not creating views on YouTube for technicians who people who want to learn to be technicians and they don't know how to do it, so they have to follow your materials. You should be doing it from a standpoint of explaining to the homeowner, this contactor is defective. Now, let me explain to you what this could mean to you if this contactor is left, this buzzing like this, what it could actually create and what it could affect down the line, i.e. the compressor, right, or the condenser fan motor, what that could do to that very expensive piece of equipment, and why we proactively replace these after a period of time, and why we maintain them, why we use things like contact cleaner. Right? Do you use that? Little old spray stuff that use alcohol-based, you can spray right in the contacts because it dries right up, and it just rinses all of that carbon built up out of the way, for example. Right? So right now, the future is in the hands of the service technicians. I mean, if you're a good service tech and you started your business, learn these numbers. Look, if you learned refrigerant flow, superheat, subcooling, the invisible electricity, amp draw, right, voltage watts, resistance. If you learned all that invisible stuff, you can learn this financial stuff. And I'm going to explain it to you in a way that anybody can understand it. The challenge is we have to make the software so flexible because we have so many different scenarios. So we're going to be re-recording modules on all this stuff. All of you who have invested in this, thank you. All the feedback has been phenomenal. I have not had one negative feedback. Everything from thank you, Pete, thank you for doing this. This is so much easier than these big companies. They want to, right, put all this stuff in there and it's just confusing. To Pete, if it weren't for this, I would be out of business right now. Net profit pricing. I didn't invent it. I just reinvented it. We took this using free software, help you produce your flat rate books you own, help you produce your sales books that you own, and your price calculation system that you own. You got to cut your expenses. Okay, Pete Ramsey, your HVAC greatness. I hope this makes sense. It's coming, guys. This PE mess is dangerous. There are consequences to be had. Tougher times are ahead. Get ready now. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.